And welcome everyone to our spotlight session featuring our upcoming updates to DocXtools Companion. The focus of our webinar today is to talk about document excellence, and there's a number of reasons why we're going to feature it from that lens, as you will soon learn. I am Sherry Capel, a member of the Document Lifecycle Evangelist team here at Latera Microsystems. And I can tell you that I have been in on this styles discussion since it essentially began back in the late 90s. I can assure you my co-presenter, he was probably not working with styles at that time. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am Matt Miller, Director of Product Management for Latera Microsystems. So I help oversee our larger product lines in general. I actually have been with Latera almost 13 years, so not as seasoned as Sherry, but not new to the scene either.
Or to the problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Assuredly. Thank you, Matt. So what we're going to do here is to get started on our overview about the session. I'm going to review what is the challenge, or essentially the spectrum of challenge that we have seen ever since we've moved into Microsoft Word. We're going to talk a little bit about document excellence and the group, the document excellence group. Then Matt is going to showcase for you an updated version of our DocXtools Companion. And then we have a few next steps for you. Please note a few things. In the control panel of GoToWebinar, you will see both a handout section, which allows you to download the slides from today's session. All the links are active, so I encourage you to download that. And then you'll also see a questions panel. Use the questions panel to input any of your questions, and at the end of the webinar, we will address as many as we can and email to you the answers to those that we cannot. So Matt, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Sounds great.
So the challenge really is, hello, and adherence to styles or style conventions within legal. It's been a best practice that we've advocated since the beginning. However, we're still having challenges in all areas of it. So what Matt and I thought we would do is we would go ahead and talk a little bit here about essentially the timeline all of this happened. So when we moved from WordPerfect to Word, we had a number of conventions and design. In fact, we had a kind of mastery of what our document formats should look like. Every word knew to do that. When we moved to Microsoft Word, it was no longer a character-based application. It was a paragraph-based application. We introduced it to everyone. And so that's when we came out with a number of best practice documents, the 7 laws of outline numbering, the New York Word Legal User Group was formed. Take us through that conversion era knowingly. And then we also this new world of Microsoft Word. And then we had essentially this sort of, I called it bad document days, nights, and weekends, because there was this entire sort of almost intermediary time when we were having nothing but document issues. But around 2008, that's when Microsoft introduced a new file format. And Matt, I'm going to let you pick up the timeline from there.
Yeah, sure thing. And Sherry, I know a couple people have noted in the chat window your audio is jumbling just a bit. I don't know if there's any ways to improve that. Sherry is in New York this week, but just note that everybody on the phone, I'm hearing it a bit too. We'll try to straighten that out as we continue to progress through the webinar here. So as Sherry potentially looks to hopefully resolve that, I'll kind of pick up the timeline from there. So Microsoft introduces this new Open Office XML format that kind of was a big shift in the legal market in terms of a lot of people were concerned about moving to the DOCX format and how to get these historical documents from doc to docx. So there was quite a bit of work that we did in the DocXtools, what we call classic platform, to help people make that migration seamlessly. Obviously, we had specific utilities built into DocXtools that would help convert documents from doc to docx, or that open XML format, to help resolve any issues that Microsoft hadn't yet caught as you were migrating documents from one version to the next. As we got over that hurdle, we kind of started to face the document challenges still always persist year over year. But what we saw is those document challenges were looking to be solved potentially by more people at the firm, or a unique new set of users at the firm. And so we created DocXtools Companion as we saw kind of this millennial shift within the marketplace. A lot of our customers were coming to us saying DocXtools may be a little bit too heavy for my attorneys and end users, but I still want to give them something that can help get them out. Sherry, did we lose you? Hold on one second, guys, while I try to get Sherry back real quick. Well, I'll keep talking through the timeline while Sherry looks to rejoin there. So as I was mentioning, we were getting a lot of comments from the customer base around new users wanting to kind of take part in some of their own cleanup capabilities, but they may not be as versed in word styles and cleanup. What came from those discussions was always that kind of the key things these people were struggling with were issues around numbering, tables of contents, and cross-references. So that is how DocXtools, the original idea of DocXtools Companion, was born. And we've had, obviously, since multiple iterations of that. What you're going to see here in a little bit is kind of another next step in the evolution of DocXtools Companion based off feedback from the folks like yourselves on the phone today. I think Sherry is back now. I see we're on to the next slide here. Sherry, are you with us again?
Hello, Matt. Can you hear me?
There you are. Yep, we got you now.
Excellent. Our GoToMeeting would not allow me to unmute myself. Is that any better? It hopefully will be better.
So far, you are coming through crystal clear.
Excellent. So what I wanted to mention was that as the UK DEG formed itself in 2004, and again, this really weaves into our conversation today. They began with just a small group, a collection of firms who all wanted to chat about various issues. But now what they have grown to is 1,000 individual members representing 400 organizations across legal, financial services, all of the document geeks, if you will, of the world. And one of the things that just has happened at the beginning of October was that chapter and the New York Word Legal Users Group, Legacy Group, have basically joined forces and are going to be launching the Global Document Excellence Group. We held our first meeting in New York, and our activities include an annual conference. We have a Document Excellence Day that's generally going to be in October. We will have bi-monthly meetings and sessions. We're going to have a number of collaborative community-based initiatives we're going to develop. We'll talk about those in a sec. There's networking events, periodic webinars informing everyone, and we'll have a community to represent us in the larger communities of ILTA, to Microsoft, to vendors, etc. Those initiatives include a styles initiative. Now, some of you may have heard of the Document Excellence Group standard styles. What the community in the UK began was a realization that because everyone was swapping documents, we didn't have to define the styles the same at all. All we had to do was maintain a kind of convention and conformance to names. And that list you see there, and that link you see there, will take you to what those are. Now, that initiative has been very effective across Europe, across other countries. It isn't so widely adopted here in the US, primarily because we have less of a convention, to be honest. So what we're going to do as a community is several projects, empower and educate what our new user base needs from us, those being our lawyers who are now doing their own documents. We're going to develop a global glossary of terms. We're going to be a community voice to Microsoft. And we're going to anticipate something else that's forthcoming, and that's the lawyers as citizen document automation developers. So go to those sites, check it out, and you'll learn a lot about that. So Matt, at this point, I am going to attempt, because of course GoToWebinar has been so good to me this morning, I am going to attempt to share this, make you the presenter, and hopefully that works.
Sounds good. I do see it. Your audio has been excellent for the last several minutes, so I think we're over that hurdle.
Wonderful.
All right. So, Sherry, can you just give me confirmation that you can see my screen at this point?
I can see your screen, Matt. Yes.
Okay. Good deal. So, continuing on the slide we had of the evolution of DocXtools Companion, we continue to gather feedback from the customer base. It's kind of how all our products evolve in the market. And so with DocXtools Companion, one of the continuous asks was that it was potentially slowed down a little bit more. The current released version, when you click numbers, it will just process, sweep through all numbering in the document. It'll just bring up a processing dialog on screen, tell you that it's executing some things, and it's going to try to fix numbering with pretty large autonomy. So what was asked is, could you slow that down a bit, give my users a bit more control or some guidance on where there's problematic numbering, where there isn't problematic numbering, as well as tie it more tightly with my style collection, specifically right now, numbered style collection. So that's what we're going to be demonstrating today. When we release the product in Q4, we'll get into some of those dates here shortly. You'll still have the option, if you like the current way it's running, you'll still have the ability to use that in its class, we'll call original mode, or this new guided capability set will be an option if you wanted to install both options, because one office liked one preference over another, you can do that as well. So you'll see a bit different user experience here. The ribbon still largely looks the same, but when I click numbers, it's going to bring me into this processing dialog on the right. This is if you have our contract companion application, it's going to be very familiar to the users from a user experience perspective. We'll open this processing donut on the right, let them know we're analyzing the document for a series of things. And once it's finished, it will have a result set for me to click and review through, as well as have fixing capabilities as part of it. So in this document, what we see is, and I'll flip it to draft view because I know we've got some style-friendly folks on the phone who would probably want me to be in draft view. We can see in this document there are multiple lists. What we're calling a list is really anything that represents a number, a multi-level list or a single list of numbering in the document. It is running in chronological order of the file at this particular point. And every bit of numbering in this document has a problem, is what we're telling the user. Now, this is a marked up document for this demonstration, but what you'll also see as part of the new guided capabilities is sometimes when I run numbers on a document, there'll be a green check mark here, indicating to the user that we've analyzed your numbering and we do not see any problems with it. You're good to go. So we're also giving that user, you don't always need to be running our tools to hitting the fix button. Sometimes it's just a healthy sanity check that all the numbering does look good in the file. So in this example here, again, if you're familiar with Contract Companion, user experience is directly aligned. You have searching capabilities, filtering capabilities. When I click on an instance, it will slide down. What we're noting to the user is one or all three issues, one or all three of these things is a problem with this, this numbering we see in the document. The navigation points will point out the paragraphs that will be modified if I am to hit fix in this document. And then we also give the user the ability to skip. So if they don't want, they know there's a numbering problem now, but that's okay. Visually, it looks correct to them, let's say, and they just need to get it out the door. They can hide it away from their list by hitting skip. You can bring skipped items back by going to the filter and re-enabling them. Happy to demonstrate that too. And then we give a preview of what this scheme looks like. How many, is it a single level list? It is a multi-level list that goes 3 levels deep in the document, and we'll provide navigation to the first instance of that level in the document. What you're also going to get is on the hover tip here for the list will indicate what style you're going to be applying to the document. So if you hover over and parties is not the correct style, you could skip it away, or again, just don't hit fix. If I do hit fix, you see it's automatically applied the party style correctly. These happen to be document excellent group DEG specific number styles I'm automatically figuring out and applying within the document. As soon as I've hit fixed, the task pane is going to automatically refresh the user, indicating that there's no issues, everything looks good, and I can move to the next one here. This one, obviously, we see a lot of problems with this, or there are multiple paragraphs that are impacted by this numbering, this particular numbering in the document. This is the document's primary numbering scheme. We can see it is applied 3 levels deep. There's level 1, there's level 2, and there's the level 3. Again, we'll take you to the first instance of those levels within the document. Again, I can hover over, and I see that what DocXtools Companion Guided wants to do is apply the DEG level numbering style. And that is correct in this particular instance. These 125 paragraphs that do not have a single style apply, this is all manually typed numbering. I can't build TLCs right now to it. I can't build cross-references to it. I can just hit fix, and it will automatically go through the document and apply those levels to those particular paragraphs in the document. You can see a couple of them applied here, level 1, level 2, applied very, very quickly for me. And I'll just demonstrate one more here, but I think we're getting the point. Again, here's the schedule section, another scheme in the document. I can hover over, it's indicating schedule. That is correct. Schedule is just a level 1 scheme in this document. Hitting fix, automatically applied schedule. Now I've got 3 very healthy, perfectly styled from a numbering perspective list templates in the document, and I've got a couple others that I could keep going through. A couple other just minor things I'll show here. Again, the filtering capabilities here. If I did have a document that had both good numbering as well as numbering that had issues, I could hide away the no issues found and just focus on my problematic numbering. If I skipped some numbering for a particular reason, I can revisit that and turn it back on if I need to. We will have reporting. Reporting is not currently in. We're still in development mode, finalizing this for our Q4 release. But you'll also be able to click report from the mass action capability, and it would report on everything that is within this task pane. So whatever is visibly here, whether if it's good numbering, problematic numbering, as well as all the contents from within here will be visible from a reporting perspective. The last piece I'll show here is this indicator. So this is something we've also added based on feedback, is we still want to allow our users to get out of trouble if they're at the 11th hour and they need to solve a problem and they're having true severe numbering problems. So what this is saying, right, to the user is, I looked at your style collection. There's nothing from your style collection that currently matches what you're trying to do in this document. I can still help you by, if you hit fix, I'll still help you solve that problem, but you're going to be applying potentially you will be applying a non-approved or non-firm style. So previously, DocXtools Classic could potentially do this for multiple paragraphs, obviously, and we wouldn't notify you if and when we made this decision. Now we'll indicate right to the user that clicking fix will create a new list. It'll tell you what the name of that list is. We're creating a style called part_outline DC. DC is a dead giveaway that DocXtools Companion created the style. Or if the user doesn't want to, again, they can hit skip. But that notification, as part of our analysis that we're doing on the document, is now as part of the guided experience. So with that, I will pass presenter rights back to Sherry, and we will keep moving through our deck.
So Matt, I'm hoping I'm no longer on mute.
You are not. We can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. So thank you. That was very exciting. So I wanted to make sure that you all knew in readiness for adoption of DocXtools Companion what the technical system requirements are. They're listed here. And then equally, what exactly it is that you will need to do to implement and configure the application. You will see here on the right-hand side, those are our installation screens. However, one way for you to even begin getting ready now would be to take your numbered styles and insert them into a .docx or .dotx, any one of the OpenXML formats valid in Word. Insert your numbered styles into that type of file. If you have linked your numbering to heading 1 through 9, you will need absolutely to create multiple style files. If you've linked to defined style names like the DEG style names, or maybe you're using a third-party solution that has a kind of pattern, a naming pattern that needs to be followed. They will all be unique, and so you can insert those into a single file. Maybe you're going to have a combination of both. That way, you'll be ready for the configuration, which is simply to install DocXtools Companion, choose that guided experience that you see over here where I'm hovering my mouse, and then identify the path where those style files actually live. From there, it's just deploying the tool and making the adoption materials that we will have available to all of you, making this tool available to the Document Center, accelerating what the lawyers do to adopt your firm's sponsored styles, paralegals, PSLs. Again, no user community, wouldn't find value in using this to accelerate styles. There are a few use cases here that we identified. Imagine being able to take a blank document or a PDF converted result where there is no outline numbering whatsoever, and making it and setting that straight. You can also then quickly adopt your firm's sponsored schemes, maybe on something that comes from the outside or is a legacy version of it where styles weren't applied. There are so many use cases and scenarios where this will become very valuable to you, none the least of which the ease of learning and the ease of adoption for your end users. So now we are ready for a few questions. And Matt, I think we have one from Susie, and she wants to know what exactly are the decision criteria that we use when we're working with DocXtools Companion? I mean, there's not a lot of UI in it to tell us, and so what exactly are the criteria that it's using?
Yeah, and so on that, we definitely will be publishing, as the product gets finalized, we'll be continuing to put some additional helper materials out on the Customer Center. Sherry and I may do another webinar on it as well. But at its basic level, we're looking at the number patterns, only the number patterns, and we'll always try to look minimally 4 levels deep on that pattern. That's generally how that matching algorithm is working. If you didn't define it to be 4 levels deep, that's fine. Then we're trying to match on the number pattern on a single level. Obviously, the more levels there are and the number patterns match up, the higher score that list is going to have in terms of a matching perspective.
Understood. And we also, very similar to that document Matt's mentioning as we release this, which we're doing on December 10th of this year, we have one that identifies all of the cleanup routines that are run. So again, we'll have something very similar with the criteria, the decision criteria that DocXtools Companion will use on your numbered levels. So as I promised, and again, we'll go ahead and answer your additional questions that we weren't able to do here in the time allocated. But what I also wanted to share were some next steps for you. We are going to invite you all into participation for our early adopter or early feedback program. You can do one of two things. You can request to have a kind of early adoption install of this. However, short of that, you could provide us some of your documents and style defaults. And what we'll do is we can have a webinar with you, a webcast with you, and show you how this would work. Now, what you need to do to participate is to contact either your customer success manager or your account executive. And Matt and I will organize around, taking those on as you see fit. By the way, we have done already so much early adoption and gathering of feedback. So we've already got a pretty full adoption group now. But please know that there's still some time for you to provide us with additional feedback and to test out your style design, so we can make sure that they cover off all of the rules that we know are there. What I also encourage you to do is to go to the docexcellence.com site and go to the registration page, please, because we are going to be launching all 4 of those California local groups. And if you have offices there, we really could use hosts. Encourage all of your colleagues to register, so you'll get all the notifications, and then we'll ultimately launch one in Chicago as well. So, and that's just the start. There's many more countries, everyone in a global firm. Please let folks across the pond even know about the Document Excellence Group, because again, all the insight and information we'll be sharing through that site. Then join us next for a webinar where we're going to talk about Office 365 and getting started with your planning for a phase 2 implementation. We all have Office 365 on our desktop, but there's more to the application and platform. And so we want to, kind of fill you in, get you thinking about what you're going to be doing in the next year around Office 365. So Matt, any parting comments?
We did have one question that did come through. I want to just make sure we did semi-answer it. I just want to make sure it's crystal clear, because my guess is other folks have this question as well. And I can take the answer here too. So this is, where is the numbering stored, and are there options for different schemes for each practice group? So we have the slides in handout, but I just want to make sure it's very clear that you just need to move your numbering into a document or to a template. And during the installation process, you will point the installer to the location on the network or the user's PCs where that template or document or templates live. You can have multiple schemes in a single template, or you could have single schemes spread across multiple templates. That's just your choice. So if you had different numbered styles for different practice groups, but wanted to keep the collection together, that's fine. Our analysis engine will look at that location, look at the document, do the matching all very quickly, and work out what styles are best to apply.
Excellent, excellent question. Okay, so with that, and essentially right on time, Matt, we thank you all for attending our webinar today. Again, register for the DEG. Let us know through your customer support success manager or your AE if you'd like to participate in the early adopter and feedback program. And we thank you for your time today.
Have a great day, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye.